And welcome in. It's the All-22 as we get set for another week of Blue Devil football headed to Northwestern this weekend. ACC Big Ten Challenge should be fun up in Evanston. David Schumate alongside Dave Harding. And Riley Leonard, the starting quarterback for the Blue Devils, the man of the hour. Everyone knew he was going to go 15 for 15 out of the gates in the first half in the game against Temple. A 30-0 shutout win for the Blue Devils. First shutout since 2015. FBS competition go all the way back to 1989 against who?
That would be North Carolina. 41-0. Famous picture was taken. Have you seen the picture? Steve Spurrier took his team down the road to Chapel Hill and shut them out 41-0, and they took a picture in front of the scoreboard, and that made a lot of people angry in the other town down the road, to where now it is customary to turn your video board or scoreboard off quickly so that teams can't get those pictures.
That's incredible. I haven't seen the picture yet, but I'd love to.
We can dig it up.
Yeah, please.
You know you're getting history on the podcast today. At home.
And it's rare that I'm giving the history.
Yeah, that's true. You had to go 11 years previous Wake Forest. It was a 3-0 win for the Blue Devils. So Mike Elko era is off to a pretty good start with a 30-0 win. And Riley, let's start with your night. You go out. You don't know you're going to hit every single pass in the first half, but what was it like out there? Forget the game, just coming onto the field for the first time with all the work that you guys had put in the offseason.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to finally get out on the field after 8 months of just hard work. And out on that field, I don't know how many times I've thrown up. So it was cool to get out there and finally, win on the field that you've worked so hard on. And then obviously going 15 for 15 to start, I mean, my receivers were jumping all over the place to catch my passes, and I had all the time in the pocket. So that was a pretty cool stat, but those guys just looked incredible for me.
Did you, I guess, going into the game, the two of us were talking. It's like we feel like a lot of work's been put in, but hard to gauge what's actually going to happen. In your mind, when you're kind of visualizing how the game progresses and what you kind of expected to see, was a 15-15 start and kind of the defensive shutout, all of that, what was in your mind, or did you guys kind of exceed your expectations initially? Because, to be honest, that's the crispest first game that I've seen from Duke since I've been doing this. I don't know. Did you feel like that was kind of par for the course, or did you guys kind of play ahead of what you were expecting?
Yeah, after the, we had 6 days of practice going into that game, and by the sixth day, we were fully prepared. And I had extreme confidence going into that game. So I always expect to go out there and beat anybody in the country. So to go out there and, do what's expected is great. But
yeah, Coach always told me, film is never as good as you think it's going to be. Yeah. And it's, luckily for me, never as bad as you think it's going to be, which I don't know. Sometimes it was worse than I thought it was going to be, to be honest.
I've been there.
But when you turn on the tape and kind of dissect it, obviously we get stuck on the perfect start and the shutout. But what's your big takeaway from watching the film?
Yeah, I've got a lot to work on in my game. There's a lot of things you don't see on TV that I need to fix. And then defensively, I don't look at their film too much, but right. They did an outstanding job. But offense, we need to clean some things up. So, I mean, if we can go out there and mess a lot of stuff up and still execute the way we did, it leads me to be very optimistic of, what's to come 12 weeks from now.
Let's get the full stat line. I think it bears repeating. 24 of 30, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 11 carries and 64 yards. Opening drive, you've been talking all week. Everyone want to talk about you. You want to talk about Jordan Moore. 52 yards, and he did a good chunk of the work. What did you see on that play?
I just sit back and throw the ball, and literally, I wish I had some popcorn because it's definitely a show every time he touches the ball. So I just dumped it off to him, and then he made like half the team miss. So it was really cool to see that from him.
Coach Elko talks a lot about timing. Obviously, that gets thrown in there when you discuss the passing game and what you're trying to do in the air. With the fact that he's only played the position for 3 weeks, now 3.5 weeks, I guess, is there an ongoing discussion between the two of you of, hey, this is what we could get to, this is what you're improving on? Like, what are I guess, the areas that you're focusing on with a new receiver that's got a lot of quick twitch and playmaking dynamics. What is that next step that you're looking to unlock?
Yeah, there was really no rough area whenever he moved to receiver from the very first practice. We were in sync, and he's just one of those guys that complements a quarterback. He knows exactly what I'm thinking pre-snap, being that we've been in the same meeting since we're in the same grade for the past year and a half, 2 years. So he knew exactly what I was thinking and knows how to get in the right spot. So there was no hard change.
I just can't. That's so hard to fathom. I believe you. It's just even an offensive lineman moving from guard to tackle. It's basically the same. The physical requirements are the same. Footwork is somewhat similar, and that can throw somebody off. Even a right guard moving to left guard can be really difficult, much less moving from quarterback to receiver, running the routes and being on the timing. Like, I don't think people really understand how special that is.
It's incredible. I mean, and I really do mean that when I say the first day he stepped out on that field, we're in sync. So it all worked out.
Football at times can be a lot about scheme, rightfully so, but it can be about matchups. I want to ask you about two specific plays. One, you got a pass interference call on Temple when you had Jalen Calhoun one-on-one to the wide side of the field, and you looked out there, looked like your eyes kind of lit up. You brought him a little bit closer and then got a PI call, and then, of course, the touchdown to Hagens where you just had a burner down the sideline. What's it like as a quarterback when you see a matchup you like and you got a burner on the outside?
That's the best feeling in the world. When I'm taking this guy no matter what the coverage is, it's the best feeling because you don't have to worry about making reads and things like that. I mean, on both those plays, I knew I love my matchup 5 on a poker route. I love Mir Hagens one-on-one on a go route. So I'm just, at that point, looking away, and then when I'm ready to throw the ball, launch it out there and, watch them go to work.
You talk about, not everything comes through on TV, that people don't necessarily recognize what there is to clean up. I'm curious, though. David's mentioned a few of the top plays. When you're sitting there, enjoying a win as you should, what's the number one play that is kind of repeating in your mind that you just kind of like, or maybe the one that you rewound 3 or 4 times more than you normally do when you're reviewing that really stuck out to you?
That's a funny question. I don't really think that I've watched the good ones, to be very honest with you, that much.
Okay.
Me and Coach Johns he likes to watch the bad ones.
Come on, Coach.
So the limited time that we have together, we try to fix problems, not
social media's for the good ones. The media room,
exactly.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen the ones I missed my pass protections quite a few times.
Really? Yeah. Well, there's always room for improvement. Right? Yeah.
You mentioned Coach Johns, and it bears repeating. 15 out of 15. In any point in the game, the school record is 16 straight completions. You look so comfortable. How much of that is the system that you're playing in and the work you've done with Coach Johns?
Yeah, he tells me all the time nerves come from lack of preparation, and that was very evident going into that game. My feet have calmed down tremendously from the spring ball especially, and he's taught me a lot of a lot of those techniques. So I'm glad I looked poised out there because that was definitely the main goal going into that game for me.
People talk about the game slowing down. I certainly felt it as a player. You see things that you didn't normally see. Obviously, you got to start last year, hostile territory at Virginia Tech. This is kind of a first start in different terms, with it being a new coaching staff, being at home. Did you feel that difference of the game slowing down? Is that something that kind of clicked and you understand what they're talking about?
Yeah, I'd never understood that before Friday. And I really felt the game be a lot slower that night. And I think that was because the other 10 guys on the field that were on the field with me, I had fully confident I was fully confident that they're going to do their job.
Yeah.
So, whenever I'm thinking, oh, my left tackle or my right tackle is not going to make their block, or he may not run the right route, that's when you start panicking. But when you got the other 10 guys on the field that are going to do their job, you just sit back and do yours.
All right, we're going to come back to football, but I want to dovetail into basketball for a little bit, and there's a couple different directions I want to go in. Let's start with Dad. Chad obviously was an incredible basketball player. Having a Division I athlete in the family before you're ever born, I imagine, helps a little bit. But what's the relationship you guys have? What sort of impact has he had on your life as now you're playing at the Division I level?
Yeah, he's everything that I've learned on and off the field. He's taught me a lot of lessons, and he was very hard on me growing up whenever I was playing sports. Taught me so many things, and I could go into those stories, but it means a lot for him to be that way. And competing against him growing up, he played me one-on-one in basketball up until about 5th grade, and then he hadn't played me since because he doesn't want to lose. But yeah, 5th grade was kind of.
You think he's going to listen to this?
I would say
Still got the steals record for a single season at Citadel.
I would say
68.
about 5th grade, 5th or 6th grade.
Wow.
Maybe. He'd probably argue he'd still be able to beat me, but yeah, it was awesome having him in my life growing up.
Feels like we need to settle this debate right now because we've heard from a bunch of different guys. Individually, maybe collectively, position group, offense, defense, everyone look at it. The best hoopers on the team.
Okay. Yeah, everybody's going to listen to this, and we're going to have a debate in the locker room.
Good. I love fuel for the fire.
But we've had this debate before, and I think the consensus is Jordan and I are up there, arguably, for number 1. Eli Pank was very good, very, very good. Darius Joyner claims that he's the best player on the team.
35 and 10.
And
I heard it. You could get it in camera.
I don't know where this is coming from because he transfers in and doesn't hoop with us all summer and then starts making these claims. But we'll have to see about him. But
I
don't
heard
know.
something about he won't play because he doesn't want to lose weight. Was the last excuse.
I don't even know what that means. But I guess it's a good excuse.
That's just an excuse that we need to start hooping. You and
You
me.
play a little noon
If
hoops.
we'll
Would
lose
you
weight.
put Harding in the post? Or would you have a
absolutely.
matchup?
Oh man!
Hey, if
I
you
need
can
the
shoot,
ball in
we'll
my
put
hand.
you out.
I can shoot.
We'll put you out on the
I've
wing.
got a sweet stroke. Yeah, tickle the twine.
All right, we're going to get into rapid fire here in just a second, but quick last thought on the football side of things. We talked before the game, and you said you were in an entirely different place than you were up in Blacksburg when you made your first start against Virginia Tech. Now that you're through your first start this season, looking back, what was the biggest difference between the two games for you?
Going into the game knowing that the team was behind me this game, running out of that tunnel knowing everybody was confident in me to lead them gave me more confidence, and that was the biggest thing for me for sure.
One follow-up to that. Would you say the amount that you're asked to do from a pre-snap standpoint, and I heard you say Coach Johns has given you kind of keys to the car and maybe checking a play at the line of scrimmage, is that more than what you had last year to deal with at Virginia Tech? So not only are you a year older, but are you dealing with more within the offense?
Definitely. I'm dealing with a lot more. And I think the last staff in Virginia Tech knew that I wasn't quite ready to tackle all those different checks, so they kind of dummied it down for me. But now there's a check on every single play just about. So it's definitely a lot different than the last start.
All right, good stuff. Let's get into some rapid fire, then we're going to play a game. Coleman set the high water mark a week ago with 4, so what do you think about that? We'll play password here in a second, but let's start with some rapid fire. I know you're a fisherman. I know you taught Jordan Moore how to fish, and now he said he's a better fisherman than you, but we won't go too far down that road.
This is not true.
What's the most impressive fish you ever caught?
Probably a 35-pound red drum was a pretty good one.
Nice.
A lot of redfish are, around 10 pounds. So, sometimes you get those red drums. So I caught one that was around 35 pounds out in Mobile Bay.
Casual flex, just a
no
casual.
doubt. It's a nice bull redfish.
Yeah, nice
right?
bull red.
Yeah, big time. It's flounder season, by the way. I got out to fish this weekend because the Friday game was
What
big.
were the returns?
So, we collectively came away with one nice flounder. I did not catch it.
Taylor?
But, no, somebody else. It's embarrassing.
A funny story about flounder and things like that. So Mobile Bay is one of the only 2 areas where I'm from, 2 areas in the world where a jubilee, and I don't know if you guys know what that is, but the oxygen in Mobile Bay in the water goes away up into the surface. So the surface of the or the shore of the bay is the only place that the fish can get oxygen. So when you go out there during a jubilee, there's hundreds and hundreds of flounder that people
so they're
get
just
right
getting
up on the banks.
Wow.
So
Flounder gigging.
That would be my kind of fishing.
That's
Like
different.
a net and just
It's not even fair. I don't know how it's
That's
legal,
crazy.
but it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've been flounder gigging before, and I've had somebody point the flounder out in the water, and I can't even see it because like they're so well
they blend in.
camouflaged. So I'm impressed. Schumate, I don't know how good we'd be at it, to be honest. Anyway, moving. We could talk fishing and all.
we're ready to
Right.
eat whatever.
We should
it's
start
called.
the Duke football fishing
Pride,
podcast.
preferably.
We kind of hit on this. And this simplifies some things a little bit, but who's the best dunker on the team?
Yep, that's another good question. Me or Eli Pankel? Daryl Harding's really good as well, but Eli or me would have to be up there for top two. We'd have to have a dunk contest or something.
We may have to do that.
Did you have windmill in high school?
Yeah, I threw a couple down.
A few.
Just a couple.
I wonder what the rim feels like.
Yeah, let's get a ladder out. I read this about you. It makes no sense to me. You know, food was coming with the two of us. You hate cheese,
Yep.
but you love pizza.
Right.
Make that make sense.
I get this question, no kidding, like every single day, and I don't know how to answer it. Other than
Because the pizza,
Is it like
you
a
eat
tomato
the pizza
pie?
with cheese on it,
so
right?
yeah, I have no idea how to explain this, but
It's just one of those things
So-
in life.
So like cheese is one of those things. Like I've had a sandwich before with cheese on it, and I kind of liked the sandwich, but I didn't know there was cheese on it. And then when I saw the cheese, I was like, nah. So maybe it's like something.
What about like melted cheese?
roadblock
Like
or something?
queso, does that work? or
No melted cheese. That's I think that's the trigger for me.
Oh,
This
gosh.
was going so well.
Okay,
He doesn't
yeah.
like queso.
I don't know if we can be friends. Do you have a special like pregame routine or ritual that you stick to?
Yeah, lots of prayers, and then the song I listen to before I run out is "Amazing Grace." I don't know where that came from, but my whole high school career I did it, so that's just one superstition.
Very
that
cool.
I do.
So, who's your favorite NFL quarterback?
Daniel Jones. What are you talking about?
The only answer
Of course.
allowed.
That's too easy.
Yeah, it is. Favorite spot on campus?
Ginger and Soy. It's a little hibachi spot. I went there every single day last semester. Literally
Wow.
every single day. The people that work there know my order every time I go. So
No pressure, but we asked this question to Jalen Coleman last week about a hidden talent. He said he's starting his own business. So the bar is a little
All
high.
right.
So you got a hidden talent?
I was gonna say I can juggle and play the
Are
harmonica.
you going to hang out with us and get back up?
Yeah, I think we can be friends now.
Sheesh, I don't know how to top that.
No, that's tough. Best part of playing on the road?
Oh, the opposing fans. I love the chirping, and I've heard some funny things that get said to me. It doesn't bother me at all. I love the animosity that they bring towards me, and I love the crowd atmosphere.
What was your favorite part?
Probably the pregame meal. I mean, I don't know. Or
Did it involve cheese?
Post-game meal, actually, because and going on the plane, you get all the.
Right.
Yeah, and I would eat the cheese too. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
David, for bringing that up.
A couple more. What's the last place you went on vacation?
North Georgia, we went to the mountains. Tried catching a rainbow trout for a week. Was unsuccessful for a week. So
The same
Try-
rainbow trout?
What?
Was it the same one? Did you just see
I
him
tried-
sitting by a rock?
No, I tried like 20 different spots all week.
Yeah.
So if you guys know any spots around
I don't
North
know,
Carolina,
man.
let me
Yeah,
know.
well, okay, we'll have to talk later. Offline.
Right,
Yeah,
of course.
Those things are secret.
Oh, yeah.
All right, one more. What's the best meal you've ever had?
My girlfriend's parents made snow crab legs, and they were incredible. So definitely that.
We're going to have to cut this short. I'm hungry. So, yeah. It's a
All
good
right.
answer.
Appreciate you coming on. Before you go, we'll play a little game. We played it with Jalen last week. It's kind of a rip-off of the TV show Password, where Dave, hopefully will be better this week, is
I'm
going to give you
terrified.
some clues within a specific category. Going to give you clues. You got to guess whatever's on the card. He can only give you one word at a time, though. He give you about 90 seconds, 2 minutes to try to get as many out of 10 as you can. Jalen got 4 to pick the category. We're very sophisticated here on the All-22. We've got a wheel for you to spin.
The wheel of
All right.
fortune. This
So,
is actually the wheel of
put it here. Come
misfortune.
on over, spin the wheel,
here we
and then
go.
we'll get you your categories. Is it going to break?
Big money.
Oh, food. Here we go.
2 for 2, back to food.
So did you switched them up, or are they the same?
Switched them up, and
Gosh, and I didn't have a chance to vet these, which is terrifying.
could go well.
Gosh.
So we got about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Best out of 10. You want to glance real quick?
No, I mean, we're just going to do this. And you're going to keep time?
Yeah, I got time. All right, you ready?
Okay. Godspeed, buddy. This is the two of us are in this together.
We're going to keep track all season long. Who gets
Riley
the most
looks
out
like
of
he's
10.
seen a
4
ghost.
is the best mark
Oh
right
gosh, here we go.
now. All right,
4.
ready? Go.
Sauce.
Sweet Baby Ray's.
That's barbecue sauce. That counts.
Okay.
Bar-
All
oh, there we go.
The
Bar-
answer was barbecue.
Oh, sweet.
All right,
All right,
perfect.
here we
Ice.
Cream. Cone. Shaker.
Okay. I pass.
Pass.
Yeah. Okay. Everything.
Air.
Good
Remember the
clue.
Food.
Everything. That could be anything.
Is it a good
Great
clue?
clue, yeah.
Okay.
Pass. Sorry.
Duncan.
Donuts.
Okay. Right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Curds. Mexican food.
Been talking about it all day.
I mean, we've been talking about it. Pizza.
Yes.
There we go. Let's
Okay.
go.
Oh my gosh. This is difficult. Chinese.
Fried rice.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go. There we go. Let's get fun.
You got a minute.
Rare.
Steak.
Yes. Meatballs.
What's that show? No, it's probably not a show. Spaghetti.
Yes.
30 seconds.
Shoot. Pizza.
Italian.
This is a
Pass,
bad clue.
pass, pass,
Okay. Butter. This is a bad.
Rolls.
10 seconds.
Bread.
Okay, just pass it. Pass?
Yeah,
Okay.
pass, pass.
The first clue here was okay. Are we done?
Time.
Okay.
All right. That's all right.
What do we
We'll
get? What's
take
the
it.
total?
Actually, first of all, you cleaned up pretty nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's not bad. New
Great
leader.
job.
6. 2 more
Great
than
job,
Jalen.
baby.
We
Let's
beat
go.
Jalen. Let's go.
All right, so the clue
Let me
here
give
was
you one. Wet.
Wet. Water.
I did.
You had
I
water?
I said ice. Ice. I was thinking like ice water.
What was everything?
Bagel. And everything,
Everything
bagel.
bagel?
I
I don't eat bagels.
and I could have
I've
said,
heard of that before. Yeah.
I was like cream cheese, two,
No, I thought
two
everything
words.
was a good
That's-
clue.
yeah.
Everything. Cheese. I said pizza. I was hoping you were going to say cheese pizza.
should
I
have
thought
said
about
hate.
I thought about saying hate, but then that would have been
Oh, yeah.
tough. And then I said butter. It was close. Toast. So you
yeah.
said bread.
Yeah, that's a
So,
tough one.
I
That's
mean,
not
so
bad.
I say we did pretty darn good. For having somebody like me giving you
Hey,
the clues.
that was a good job.
You
Appreciate
survived.
you.
We're gonna play all year. You feel good about where you at? You think someone will get you?
I don't know. 6 was a lot. I'll take. I'll
I think
say.
it's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Depends
It's
on who
really
you have.
dependent on. Don't let it fool you. Shumate's the one that's coming up with these words, and so
And helping too. When I
Okay.
Sweet Baby
Yeah,
Ray's
yeah.
gave the benefit of the
sauce.
Yeah.
I thought that was. Didn't I say sauce?
No, that was good.
What would you have said? Hog? I don't even know.
I was thinking pulled pork in my mind or
But that's
brisket.
2 words. Brisket.
Brisket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we got it.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
All right.
Okay? Now, on to the next one. We're living in the moment, just like in the now, right? Just
And
like
it's
Coach
on
Alco.
to Northwestern.
That is right.
Riley, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you guys.
Excited to see it. You go out there on the road and enjoy those fans, right?
All right, welcome back in. David Schumate alongside Dave Harding. John Roth going to rejoin us next week. Just the two of us this week to break down what was, Dave, an incredibly impressive opener, no matter which way you want to slice it. Obviously, the shutout stands out defensively from where Duke was a year ago to that performance when Temple didn't even threaten. It wasn't like there was some crazy red zone turnover. They never could get into scoring position. And the Blue Devil offense was crisp all night long, and doing it in different ways was impressive to me. In the first half, come out, throwing the ball all over the place. We talked about the start for Riley Leonard. You jump out 24-0 into the second half, able to go it methodically down the field and kill the clock like you want to when you have a big lead. Coaches are going to find something. You've been in those rooms. I'm sure they will, but man, pretty impressive start.
Absolutely, especially, coming in, there were so many question marks. We talked about it plenty in the last podcast and in the time leading up to the game. And as a player, I mentioned that I never really had a good sense of where we were. The coaches we talked to knew they had done the right work. Hayes in the barn, essentially, you got to go see if the work that you've done is going to be enough. And I think it's a sigh of relief. And I don't know if Coach Elko is going to say that, if you talk to any of the other coaches, even offline, if they would say that they are relieved. But I think there is okay, we've got that under our belt. Now you can move on to the next thing. Because think about the buildup to that first game. There's a lot of anticipation. Players feel anxiety. They feel the pressure behind all of the expectations, and they read what people write, and their confidence was shaken from a season ago. And so especially for the defense to come out and do what they did, I think, I don't want to say it was a surprise, but I do think they exceeded expectations, at least from where I sit. Pitching the shutout and being really dominant in pretty much every phase of defensive football. The tackling, when I look at the entire game altogether, was the biggest difference I saw. Sound tackling, the two of us talked about it. We hadn't seen or heard, even up in the radio booth, hits that the way they were hitting was just more physical. The pads were popping, and then rallying. The whole defense, defensive linemen running 15 yards down the field, trying to swarm and to group tackle. That was a huge difference in change in just the attitude and the demeanor of the defense, and you see it play out in the score. And I think that's great reward for those guys. And not necessarily the deepest unit in the country by any means, with every position in that side of the ball. But I thought the guys that played, and the coaches, you got to give them credit, did play a lot of guys to try to build some of that depth. All communicated well. Coach Elko talked about over-communicating. You've got to do that. And again, it's the crispest, the cleanest opening game I've seen Duke play in my time being associated with the program.
I mean, the stats bear out exactly what you're talking about. We talked about Riley Leonard's stats earlier, but the offense, 500 yards collectively. At halftime, the first half game's in doubt. Duke had over 300 yards of offense. Temple only had 50. And you talk about the number of different guys that played, particularly on the defensive side of the football. Dorian Mausi, one of the linebackers, was a leading tackler, was 6 because a bunch of other guys were able to get in there. Riley obviously stood out. Give me someone else individually that caught your eye besides Leonard.
Yeah, I think Jordan Moore, obviously, just in his playmaking ability. Everybody was kind of talking about him. It wasn't like a tightly kept secret coming into the game that everybody was excited to get the football in his hands. And in the opening drive, we see exactly why. He's elusive in space, quick, has good vision. I was impressed with his hands, too, and just being able to catch different passes. I thought the offensive line looked pretty good and solid. So as a unit offensively, I think without reviewing the tape just yet on my end of watching what Duke did, I think there's more to be cleaned up offensively, and being able to finish some of those drives. Obviously, some of the missed opportunities when it got into scoring position felt a little bit inflated because of the missed field goals that the Blue Devils had. But I think there is a next level that you can reach. But overall, I thought Samir Hagens was really good too, and his quickness and his kind of first head fake there on the go route when he had a one-on-one situation kind of surprised some people.
All right, there's always going to be another game, so let's start talking about what's coming this week with Northwestern. They started their season in Ireland a couple of weeks ago. Everyone kind of knows what happened with that one. They come back and beat Nebraska, shocking the Cornhuskers, taking advantage of some breaks when Nebraska went for an onside kick, didn't get it. Northwestern gets back-to-back touchdowns, holds on for a field goal win, 31-28. both teams coming off disappointing seasons a year ago, both Duke and Northwestern. Really impressive openers, one in Ireland, the other one here in Durham. I would imagine you played, tell me if I'm wrong. There's so much work in the offseason, so much excitement for the opener. When it goes well, is there a temptation to go and relax a little bit? Is that what maybe is the focal point this week, is to get back in and find that fire in your belly that you had going into the opener?
Yeah, I think there can be, but I don't get that sense at all with this program. There's so much to prove. And, I mean, yeah, you've been successful in one game, but I didn't get the sense that anybody's resting on what that means. And it's definitely a huge achievement. It doesn't matter who your opponent is. It is very difficult to win in college football. And so you should definitely celebrate those victories. But this is 100% a program that is hungry to prove things. And I really liked what Coach Elko said earlier in the week in his press conference, saying, he shifted his focus off of the Temple game in some way about just basking and winning at some point during the second half. And, oh, by the way, if you look at what happened a year ago, the Blue Devils dropped their their opener on the road to Charlotte, come home and win against Northwestern. The same can be true in reverse order, where you win at home in your first game, go on the road, and can drop a game easily to a Power 5 opponent in Northwestern. So I don't think there's any kind of relief that comes with the position that the Blue Devils are in. They understand that it's only going to get more difficult from here. But I think the big important thing to focus on is this is an opportunity. How cool is this to go up against a team that, for the majority of this team, is an opponent that you can beat. There's even more belief. So if anything, you're riding momentum off of that win and not having to battle kind of this sigh of relief and having a letdown in week 2.
30-23 was the final year ago. Pat Fitzgerald, I think this year begins his 50th year at the helm of the. No, he's 17 years. He's been there for a little while. So have most of his players. I mean, you look at some of the guys in the opener. Ryan Helinski began his career at South Carolina. Mike Elko actually saw him when he was at Texas A&M, the defensive coordinator. He had a good debut, 27 of 38, 314 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the third quarterback last year when Duke played Northwestern. Ended up 2 of 7 for 34 yards in that game, as the Wildcats really struggled with turnovers in that one. Hull is back at running back. He's a load, 119 in the opener and a touchdown. Cam Porter didn't play a year ago because of injury. He's out there now, 19 carries, 94 yards, and a score. Dave, we talked a lot last week about Temple and the inexperience, the new faces, a lot of sophomores, a lot of freshmen. If you look at the guys that started the opener for Northwestern, I don't know if I've ever seen everybody's an upperclassman. These are familiar faces to what Duke saw a year ago, but also familiar faces to the scheme for Northwestern on both sides of the ball. A very different challenge this week.
100%. And, I mean, not only are they upperclassmen, in true Big Ten fashion, they are big, physical players. And so Duke, a team that has some physicality, it's been a point of emphasis in developing that during camp, I'd say is more built around speed at this point. So how does that match up against, a very experienced physical group with lesser experience but very speedy team that's got something good going under the early stages of this Mike Elko era. So a challenge. I don't think anybody that you talk to will say that it's not going to be difficult to go there and win. The conditions there are typically a little bit more primed for Northwestern. Grass a little bit longer, playing there along the shore. It can get a little cool. I don't know exactly what the weather's going to be like, but it's different. You're kicking off at 11 a.m. local time. There's a lot of changes. This is the first time. I mean, there's uncertainty with you and me. Hopefully they let us on the plane. But like, what's the flow going to be like? You get a vibe for what it's like at home. I know that the coaching staff walked through the game day kind of timeline and everything during one of their scrimmages during camp, but you don't get the chance to walk through what the expectations are on the airplane or getting to the hotel and all of those different things. So there's a lot still to be learned, a lot to be determined, and it is definitely going to be an uphill battle.
To give you an idea of the level of detail that is out there as these coaches are planning, I think Mike Elko, told the media earlier in the week they even look at what time they eat pregame because they don't want the guys to be hungry when you get to the fourth quarter. I mean, it is right down to the nuts and bolts, every little step. To that end, as we start to wrap this up, first road game, playing a Big Ten opponent. Early on, particularly, what's going to catch your eye on Saturday?
Oh, I think how does Duke's physicality match up? And we talked about last week being so important to win in the trenches, and I think on both sides of the ball, the Blue Devils did that. And do they do that against, quite frankly, superior competition where the stakes are a little bit higher? And to go on the road, if you're able to control those lines of scrimmage, it makes it a lot different in being able to kind of execute your game plan. If they aren't, is the speed able to kind of take it to the next level? And are you able to run around some of those bigger guys, which the Blue Devils have done? I mean, when you look at this series, Duke has fared pretty well against Northwestern. And, I mean, even last year, turnover is definitely a major factor in the game. We know how Duke struggled during the course of the year, but it's a program that the Blue Devils, it's not necessarily on paper a good matchup, but the speed and the athleticism has been kind of the X factor. So how does that take effect and impact the overall outcome of the game is what I'm going to be looking at from a very early stage.
You mentioned recent success. Duke has won 3 straight in the series, including their last trip to Ryan Field when they won 21-7. If my memory serves, all 21 points coming in the second quarter. Daniel Jones, of course, a part of that group. Blue Devils looking to get some success on the road, looking to get off to a 2-0 start. The bar is high because of how they played against Temple, but it certainly seems like Elko and the crew are up to the challenge. Looking forward to it on Saturday. Dave, appreciate it.
Let's do it. Hopefully we make the plane.
I think we got a shot. We'll talk to you guys next week.